Hey guys! So my poetry mini lesson is going to be focused around the poem Onomatopoeia by Eve Merriam. So I'm going to read it for you. The rusty spigot sputters, utters a splutter, spatters a smattering of drops, gushes wider, slash, splatters, scatters, spurts, finally stops sputtering, and plash, gushes, rushes, splashes, clear water dashes. Okay, so my mini lesson is going to be for grade 3. And the objective that I'm going to be focused on is reading grade level prose and poetry orally with accuracy, appropriate rate, and expression on successive readings. So to start this lesson, I'm going to have the students think of a time that they had to describe a sound in words. I want them to discuss in small groups that they're in and ask them to think of words like this and how they had to describe these words so that people would better understand them. Then we'll come back as a whole class and discuss about the words that we thought of, and then I'll explain that we call these sound words onomatopoeia. And we'll go through a couple of examples such as boom, crash, bang, gush, rush, things like that. So my teaching point is, in this lesson, we will be learning to identify onomatopoeia words through reading a poem and then writing our own poems. We will also be further building our reading aloud skills. So to demonstrate this concept, I'm going to project the poem that I just read to you on the board, and I'm going to read it aloud to them. I'm then going to go back and show the students how to identify each onomatopoeia word. So since it's projected onto the board already, I'll be able to circle the words that are onomatopoeia on the board so that students can visually see the words that I want them to take note of. Then for the activity, students are going to be placed into groups of 3 or 4, and each group is going to be given a different poem that greatly utilizes onomatopoeia. So my goal is for the students to read through the poem aloud in their groups, and then circle each sound word that they find, just like I did on the board earlier. Once they have circled all the sound words in the poem, they're going to come up with actions to represent those words. So that could be clapping, that could be stomping, they could do a jumping jack, they could turn around, whatever they feel they want to represent the word with. Then each group is going to present their poem in front of the class and do the actions when they read the onomatopoeia word in the poem. So this way they are still working on their reading aloud skills, but they're able to be creative, they're able to be active, and be a little silly as well. Then, after the presentations, we're going to talk about how we can integrate onomatopoeia words into our everyday writing and why it's important to use them. We will then move on to the assessment, which is going to allow the students to try to use the sound words on their own and be a little more creative. So to assess the students' learning, I'm going to ask them to write a 2 to 4 line poem that uses at least 2 onomatopoeia words. So I'm going to put up a short list of onomatopoeia words on the board so that they have some examples and they can either use those words in their poem or they can come up with some on their own. I'm going to greatly encourage the students to use creativity and to try to relate the poems to their own lives and to not just completely use my words on the board unless they have to. I want them to really try to think of some on their own. This way, the assessment isn't just a test. I'll be able to let them be creative, and I'll be able to see if they understand how to use onomatopoeia words and if they are understanding poetry. There's not going to be any certain kind. They don't have to rhyme. It's just however they want to write it. So yeah, that's my mini lesson.